need to share. And this obviously has raised some discord, some resentment in the brother. The brother not knowing what to do, and most likely his brother's standing right next to him, or else he wouldn't have shouted it out. But trying to appeal to whatever authority Jesus had, he says to Jesus, please intervene. Set my brother straight. Tell him that he should share some of his wealth with me. Now Jesus is often talks about giving to the poor and not hoarding wealth for yourself. So I understand how this man might have thought that Jesus would take his side. But it's interesting how Jesus doesn't take his side. Jesus doesn't say, who am I to intervene in this situation? Why are you demanding of this of me? In fact, Jesus sees a bigger problem than the one brother not wanting to share his wealth with the younger brother. And it's this. It's what has happened in the relationship between both of them. Most likely, and I'm speculating here because I don't know the background of the two brothers, but most likely this has caused a great division between them. And it's not hard for us to see that, right? Because we all have instances in our life when we know how money has destroyed our relationships, right? One person has one thing and another person thinks they deserve it and they want it, and pretty soon brothers and sisters, parents, wives, spouses, husbands, children, everybody's arguing and at each other's throats. We all know that money can tear a family apart, right? But it's so rare that we're able to turn aside and not strive and put our whole life towards wanting to have more. In fact, so often we allow our lives to be defined by how many possessions do we have, right? We're constantly struggling to have more and more and more, because somehow we think that's going to make us happier, more valuable, more sustained, more satisfied. And in reality, we all know the truth. It doesn't. Once we get something we long for, a material possession, we immediately start wanting something more. I was reading this past week, and there's this one illustration here that I wanted to read. It's a very insightful one. Society is trying to sell us stuff all the time. And it's not all that difficult to do because we're so unsatisfied with what we have. Would you agree that discontentment is our default setting? Capitalizing on our inherent dissatisfaction, the worldwide marketing machine spends around $450 billion annually to make you unhappy. To make you unhappy with who you are and what you have, and how you look and what you do. At its core, most advertising is designed to make us ungrateful and to feed our greed. There was an article recently that said, consumers encounter countless advertising images during the course of everyday life. Many of these images are idealized, representing life more as it is imagined than as it actually exists. Repeated exposure to idealized images raises consumers' expectations and influences their perceptions of how their lives ought to be, particularly in terms of material possessions. The result of both these processes for some consumers is discontent and increased desire for more. So I guess what they're saying is that everything is designed for us to be more discontent, to be more ungrateful, so that we will buy in and continue to achieve or strive to collect more and more and more things. And it reminded me, as I was reading this, of a phrase. We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. We buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like. And that seems to be so often the theme of our lives in America. We're constantly wanting to have more. So into this situation, Jesus speaks. He's recognizing what's at the heart of this younger brother, and the greed and the resentment and the dissatisfaction, and the fact that he's even willing to destroy his relationship with his brother just so that he can have more wealth. And Jesus says to him, no, your striving for possessions is not what is going to bring you satisfaction. And in fact, it's going to make you very, very much unlike God. And one of the powerful things about that video that we just saw. And it's our first takeaway. If you can bring that up, Scott. Is this. We give because God gives, and God does not stop giving. Too often when we think, well, we need to give because the church needs our money. And that's not true. God doesn't need your money. God doesn't need anything from you. But what you need for your own well-being is you need to learn to give. I need to learn to give. Because if we are not giving, then we are not being the people God created us to be. Because God created us in His image. And God is a giving God. So God planted that inside of us, this need to give. And we cannot be the people that God has truly created us to be unless we are people who are giving. Somehow Satan realizes this. So he's built this elaborate myth that we need to always have more. And we buy into this idea, I need to have that next new thing in order to be satisfied. And the words of Jesus are very simple. Be people who give. Give back to God. Give to others. Because in giving, you will defeat this myth of materialism that's trying to take over your hearts and your minds. It's the way to free yourself from having the world define who you are, and instead allowing yourselves to be truly who God created you to be. Giving. Giving is something that we need to develop as a discipline, something that allows us to, as much as we want to buy things, we need to develop this discipline, this desire to want to give, realizing that in giving, we are freeing ourselves from materialism. Amen? Our second takeaway is simply we were created in God's image. Unless we are a giving people, we are not truly ourselves. Please stand for our hymn of the day.